It was supposed to be just another quiet evening at Camp Willow Creek. The sun had dipped behind the pines, casting a warm orange glow over the training grounds, and most of the young recruits were winding down after a long day of drills. I laughed, joked, and swapped stories around the fire pit, unaware that something or someone was watching from the shadows. But nothing seemed out of the ordinary. That is, until a sharp noise broke through the calm, and everything changed in an instant. Everyone knew her as Nurse Emily. She was kind, calm, and always ready with a bandage or a comforting word. To the recruits, she was just the friendly camp nurse who handed out ice packs and stitched up scrapes. She moved quietly, blending into the background, never drawing attention to herself. But that night, under the pale moonlight, she stepped into the spotlight in a way none of them could have expected. It started with a scream. One of the younger recruits had spotted an intruder lurking near the supply hut. Armed and clearly dangerous, the man didn't hesitate. Chaos erupted as instructors shouted orders and recruits scattered. Some froze in place, others ducked for cover. But before anyone could fully process what was happening, Nurse Emily was already moving. No one saw where she came from. One moment, she was nowhere to be seen, and the next, she was running straight toward the danger. The intruder raised his weapon, clearly expecting panic, but not from her. What happened next stunned everyone into silence. Her movements were sharp, precise, almost rehearsed. In a matter of seconds, the intruder was disarmed, face down in the dirt, and completely under her control. The recruits stared in disbelief. Who was this woman? How did she do that? And why did the camp nurse know how to take down an armed attacker without breaking a sweat? As the dust settled and the authorities took the man away, more questions hung in the air than answers. One thing was certain: Nurse Emily was not who they thought she was, and the truth about her past was about to turn their world upside down. The recruits couldn't stop talking. Whispers followed Emily wherever she went. The girl who used to quietly change bandages and take temperatures had become the center of every conversation. Some said she must have been military before, maybe even special forces. Others thought she might have been undercover security, planted at the camp for reasons no one yet understood. But Emily? She just smiled politely, going back to her rounds, like nothing had happened. Captain Reeves, the man in charge of the training camp, wasn't so casual about it. That night, after the commotion died down, he called her into his office. The recruits saw her walking in with her usual calm expression, but there was something different about her eyes. Focused, cold, and when she came out, she didn't say a word, just walked straight to the infirmary and locked the door behind her. That's when the rumors really started flying. Some of the older recruits swore they'd seen scars on her arms faint, but shaped like burns. One claimed he saw her once staring at an old photo in her locker of a man in uniform with his face scratched out. The story grew with every telling, but no one could deny what they saw that night. The way she moved. The way she took control, like it was second nature. And then there was the intruder himself. No one knew how he'd gotten past the gates. The camp had top-level security, cameras, guards. So how did he make it all the way to the supply hut? And why was he armed? The authorities had taken him away quickly, but he hadn't spoken a single word. Not to the camp leaders. Not to the police, nothing. But what really haunted the recruits, what kept them up at night, was the way Emily had looked at him. Like she knew him. Like it wasn't just an attack, but a warning. 3 days passed, but the camp hadn't returned to normal. The recruits kept glancing over their shoulders. Conversations died the moment Emily walked by, and the instructors had tightened the schedules. As if busier days could quiet restless minds. But nothing could erase the image of her pinning that intruder to the ground like she'd done it 100 times before. Then came the classified file. It arrived early in the morning, sealed and hand-delivered to Captain Reeves. No one knew where it came from, only that it was marked eyes only. He didn't speak a word about what was inside, but his face went pale as he read. After that, he began making private calls from his office, and every time Emily entered the room, he stood straighter, more cautious. Some recruits noticed he no longer addressed her by first name, just ma'am. Meanwhile, a few of the older recruits, those closest to graduations, started their own digging. Among them was Tyler, a former police cadet who never quite let things go. Something about the intruder's silence bothered him. If this was random, why hadn't he said a word? Why did Emily seem more prepared than anyone else? Tyler started asking around, piecing together bits of camp history, old records, supply logs. What he found didn't add up. Security had no gaps the night of the break-in. Camera showed a brief glitch, exactly 6 minutes of missing footage right before the man appeared on screen. Someone had let him in. And then there was Ava, one of the medics in training, and the only one Emily had started opening up to. Since the incident, she noticed Emily began locking the infirmary every night, checking her phone more often and flinching whenever helicopters passed overhead. Once, Ava asked Emily directly if she knew the man. Emily didn't answer. She just looked out the window and whispered, "They're not done yet." The recruits weren't just preparing for drills anymore. They were caught in something much bigger. And they were beginning to realize Nurse Emily wasn't just part of the mystery. She might be the reason it started. The camp was no longer just a place for training. It felt like a trap waiting to spring. Tension hung in the air like fog, thick and hard to ignore. The recruits kept their heads down, their routines tighter, eyes scanning every shadow. Even the instructors had started carrying radios more often, whispering into them with stiff expressions. Something was coming. Everyone could feel it. Tyler's digging had taken him too far. He'd found a name connected to the intruder. Daniel Cross, a dishonorably discharged soldier with ties to Black Ops missions that didn't officially exist. The kind of missions no one talked about. The kind of missions where people disappeared. Tyler brought the file to Ava late one night, both of them meeting in the dim light of the mess hall. As they flipped through pages, a photo fell out. Emily younger, in uniform. Standing beside Cross, her eyes were the same. Focused, sharp, cold. Ava wanted to confront her, but Tyler warned against it. "She's not who we think she is," he whispered. "She's not just running from something, she might be preparing for it." That same night, the alarms sounded again. Only this time, it wasn't a drill. Lights cut through the sky as a low-flying aircraft passed overhead, followed by the sound of boots, real, heavy boots pounding against the gravel road. Armed men were spotted at the perimeter. The security team was outnumbered and overwhelmed. Chaos erupted. Recruits were rushed to the main hall for lockdown, instructors shouting over the sirens, radios crackling non-stop. In the middle of it all, Emily was gone. Captain Reeves was nowhere to be seen either. Ava found herself cornered in the infirmary, heart racing, holding a folder filled with secrets no one was supposed to find. Through the window, she saw flashlights cutting through the woods, shadows moving fast. And then, from the tree line, a figure stepped out in Miley. But she wasn't wearing scrubs this time. She was in full tactical gear, and behind her, someone else was coming. Emily moved with purpose, her boots silent against the gravel, as if she'd walked this ground 100 times before in another life. The recruits watching from inside barely recognized her. The calm, quiet nurse was gone. In her place stood someone trained, someone dangerous. Her vest was marked with no insignia, just black, tactical, professional. But it was the figure behind her that made Ava's blood run cold. It was Captain Reeves, hands tied, blindfolded. Whatever loyalty anyone thought he had to the camp had clearly been ripped away. He stumbled forward, pushed by another masked figure, one of several who emerged from the woods, armed and coordinated. Not like bandits or amateurs, these were ex-military, maybe worse. Emily held up a hand, signaling them to halt, and they obeyed without question. She wasn't just part of this group. She was leading them. Inside the hall, Tyler watched through a cracked window, jaw clenched. This wasn't just about the intruder, he muttered. This whole camp, it's a front. No one wanted to believe it, but the pieces were fitting. Too well, the perfect security, the isolated location, the odd gaps in the camp's records. It wasn't a training ground, it was a cover. For what, they still didn't know. But Emily wasn't just protecting the camp. She was protecting something buried deep within it. Back outside, Emily stepped forward, removing Captain Reeves's blindfold. Her voice, when she spoke, was calm but sharp. "Tell them where it is," she said. He didn't answer. She turned to the masked figure beside her, nodded once. Behind them, low mechanical hum filled the air. Something underground had activated. A hidden hatch near the edge of the forest began to open, rising slowly from the earth. Dust and dirt spilled over the edges. Whatever was down there, it was never meant to see the light of day, and now, this wasn't just about who Emily really was about what she'd been guarding and why someone was willing to kill to get to it. Ava stood frozen as the underground hatch creaked.